So, Honey Don't, right? This is the new film from Ethan Coen. He co-wrote it with his wife, Tricia Cooke. They also both produced the film along with Tim Bevan, Eric Fellner, and Robert Graff. It is executive produced by actually no one. It's co-produced by Karen Ruth Gretschall and Catherine Farrell. Carter Burwell took care of the music. Ari Wegner takes care of the score. Cinematography, sorry. Tricia Cooke and Emily Denker edit the piece. Casting was handled by Ellen Chenworth. Stefan Deschamps is production design. Julian Pugner is art direction. Set decoration, we have Nancy Hay. Peggy Schnitzer is costume design. Hair and makeup, we have Julie Callahan, Sasha Camacho, Megan Doom, Tara D. Day, Linda D. Flowers, Jared Gray, Stefan Imhoff, Carmen L. Jones, Christopher Allen Nelson, Liza Norris, Nicholas J. Pugliese, and Teresa Stone. Let's have a look and see. Okie dokie. So we then have got Donnie Bailey, Shauna Donnelly, Danny Downey, Jennifer Lamb, Kevin Michael Murphy, Cara Peterson, Ashley Pinn, and Michael Viola on stunts. Okie dokie. Our cast, right, who was in the joint? Well, we have got Margaret Qualley as Honey O'Donoghue. Her sister Heidi is played by Kirsten O'Connolly. Heidi's kids, so there's Corinne, played by Talia Ryder. There is... where are the other freaking kids? God damn it, the way these things are listed, man. There's Dizzy, played by Jude Anticio. Okay, I think Larry Jr., played by Sean Glasgow. Steve Jr., played by Donnie Ness. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember the others. Okay, so, yeah, Heidi's daughter, right, Corinne, is dating Mikey, played by Alexander Castu. There is Honey has got an assistant called Spider, played by Gabby Beans. Yeah, then there's Reverend Drew Devlin, played by Chris Evans. He has got sidekicks, people that help him, I guess, right? There's Hector Bonner, played by Jansier. There's Shuggy, played by Josh Pavchuk. We have got who else is there? Okay, who else works with the Reverend? I don't know. You've got congregants. I guess that's what you would call them. Mia Novonti, played by Cara Petterson. Brandy, played by Lane Lazor. Cara, played by Grace Lord. Sylvia Bond plays another. Big Little Joe, played by Steve Lenz. Little Joey Jr., played by Matt Beberbury. Pork Chop, played by Travis Hill. Corrine works at a wiener fast food joint, and her friend there is played by Audrina Rosales. There is a bar that they go to, and the bartender that sees everything is played by Greg Binkley. We have got Mia's mum is played by Keena McInroe. Her dad is played by Sean Dillingham. Okay, we have got Mr. Siegfried, played by Billy Enscher. His boyfriend Colligan is played by Christian Antidormi. Honey and Heidi's dad is played by Cale Brown. There's the piano bar, which is owned by Gary, played by Don Swayze. His pianist, Elle, is played by Lena Hall. And there's Detective Marty Metowitz, played by Charlie Day. And she's a police officer, right? I think MJ Falcone, played by Aubrey Plaza. And another associate of Reverend Drew Devlin is Cher, played by Lyra Abova. I think that's our key players in the piece, I think, right? So the gist of the story, right? A small town detective, private investigator, Honey O'Donoghue, delves into a series of strange deaths tied to a mysterious church. So that is kind of it, right? Which seems very vague, and that's the thing. It is kind of a vague story in a way. Now, it's weird, right? Because last year we had Drive Away Dolls, which was the first feature from Ethan Coen, right? On his own, that is. Because he'd done a documentary, but this was his first feature, which he'd written with, his wife, Tricia. And it was, at the time, we knew it was the first of a trilogy. But after watching the first Drive Away Dolls, it was just like, okay, how are they moving this forward? You couldn't really see a clear route to go. But then you find out that this isn't essentially a sequel, right? So I'm not really clear how the films are connected, right? Or if Ethan and Tricia are just making 3 films that feature lesbians. I don't know. That might be it. If it is, then I don't know how you're calling it a trilogy, right? That it all becomes very odd. All becomes very odd, a bit like the films, right? A bit like the films. They're very well put together, right? Like, it looks very nice. I at the beginning, the opening credits, we have we're kind of driving through town, and the storefronts and road signs and all different kind of things like that are used to list, the cinematographer, the editor, and, different department heads from the film. And I was like, oh, that's that's an interesting way of doing it, right? It's a little less boring than sometimes the way it's done, right? So interesting, okay. But we have we open up with this mysterious woman on a motorbike, and she's going down this hill. There's a car, and then we see someone's dead, basically, inside the car. She takes a ring off the finger. But it is one of those ones where the person's touching everything, and you're just like, yo, I mean, people know about fingerprints, right? But anyway, she takes this ring, and then we see her swimming in a river. She has, nothing on. And we're like, an aerial shot looking down at her. She gets out the river and puts her clothes on, where you're thinking that must be mad uncomfortable, man, because you're wet. You haven't dried off, right? You're putting your clothes on, and then she drives off on the bike. And she goes past another woman that happens to be Honey, right? So we have that. Now, the first thing is kind of like, why did we have the scene with her swimming in the river? Right? It's very odd. Now, obviously, if Ethan and Tricia are looking to make, and I think that's what they are, right? They're looking to make kind of grindhouse exploitation type films, then there was always random nakedness and whatnot in those films. So, if they're trying to keep with the vibe, boom, they've done it, right? Because there's so much just random nakedness that just doesn't have to be there. You know what I mean? There's some odd scenes. Now, I will say the scenes in bed do actually, well, I say the scenes in bed after the fact do kind of play out better than a lot, right? Just because although you're showing everything, it does feel more natural of a situation than sometimes we see people with, like, after then suddenly the sheets are all pulled over them, and you're just like, wait, who chills like that? That's very weird. So there is that, right? But there's a lot of randomness going on, right? We have the scene where Honey and MJ are in the bar, and when Honey grabs the arm, I'm like, she isn't gonna, but she does, right? But you're just like, okay, they are in broad sight of everyone, and we're going with that. No one at all has spotted what's going on, and even the bartender that comes over is like supposedly oblivious, and you're just like, no one's gonna be oblivious, right? No one. Okay, right? We have this whole cult thing. There's a few kind of subplots happening. You know what I mean? And there is one with the cult which doesn't really get resolved, right? It does feel kind of random because, you know, they're into some different things. And, you know, we hear about this other business that's going on. There's other partners involved. But then that's kind of it, right? There's people that are unhappy, but that's it. So I'm wondering if the third film follows that aspect of things. I don't know, right? I think the MJ character, I keep on saying it's MG. The MG character, that whole thing feels kind of weird, right? Feels kind of weird. What happens with that arc? You know? And you do also think about Corinne, because we don't get a time when this film is meant to be happening, but they do have mobile phones, right? So you're assuming it is kind of modern day. So you do go, wouldn't Corinne have a mobile phone? Right? Oh, it's 99. It's 99. But yeah, I feel you have mobiles. Though, stateside, you motherfuckers had like two ways and everything like that, which did kind of feel kind of weird. Like it felt like everyone over in the UK had a mobile. But then in the States, yeah, you still had pages and two ways and all of that kind of thing. Which, yeah, odd. Very odd. But yeah, I still think in 99 there is a big chance that she would have a mobile. Right? Which then makes you wonder about things. You know? So there are there's these things that don't quite add up, right? Don't quite make sense. You know, the Shuggy situation feels very incompetent, and although you think he was a little slow, you did kind of get a sense that he was the smarter of the bunch. So you kind of feel he would have approached a certain situation a little differently, you know? But yeah, it's an odd one. It feels more disjointed than Drive Away Dolls, right? Drive Away Dolls didn't necessarily have the strongest of stories, but Honey Don't feels even more fragmented. You know what I mean? Like Charlie Day's character, I would like to see Charlie Day play a straight role. Maybe he has and I haven't seen it. But yeah, I kind of feel I'd be interested to see him play a straight role. Because in this, it's kind of the Charlie Day we see all over the place. And the constant asking of the question does seem very weird, right? It seems very or at least you'd ask it you'd say something in a different way. You know what I mean? Or even the whole, well, you haven't had, you know what I mean? Like something different to what he keeps on doing. But again, he's a detective. You think he's not dumb, right? He might be incompetent, but he's not dumb. So yeah, it's an odd film, right? Once it finished, I was kind of like, Oh, okay. That, all right, we're done. Right? That's the story? Huh. Yeah. I guess if you really, really like Drive Away Dolls, you might dig this, right? If you like, sexploitation films, maybe you're able to see all the threads in this. Maybe I'm missing something, right? Because the Coen brothers made mad good films. So I don't believe that Ethan is a terrible storyteller or anything on that front. As I said, the film is put together well. But yeah, there's just things that make no sense. And I'm feeling I must be missing something, right? Must be missing something. Right, we got a whole heap of really good actors up in the spot, and everyone does a decent enough job. I don't really think there's enough on the bone for anyone to overly stand out for you to be like, yo, that was one hell of a performance. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they don't have enough for that. But yeah, it's not terrible. It's just a little kind of random, kind of all over the place. But as I said, if you love Drive Away Dolls, if you like sexploitation films, then I think Honey Don't may be your jam. Okay? So yeah, it's just dropped in cinemas in the UK. I believe it's already been out stateside. So yeah, people, if you've seen it, let me know what you thought. Right? Have I missed the whole plot? Have I missed something like pivotal here? Let me know, people. I'm curious as a motherfucker. But yeah, that's just my views, my take on Honey Don't.